When Donald Trump got the ceasefire for Gaza from Israel, I was shocked that that happened. But I didn't believe that it would remain, right? I think a lot of us were talking about this, that we knew Israel was going to find a way to break the ceasefire. And that's exactly what happened last night. Last night, right before I was about to go to bed, big alert on my phone, Israel breaks ceasefire, and they were bombing Gaza relentlessly. As it stands right now, over 400 people have been killed in Gaza. Over 170 of them have been children. And I'm not going to show the images on here. Obviously, I can't show those images here. But if you wanted to see those images, they're all over social media. So once again, we are seeing toddlers, babies, children being stuffed into body bags at the hospital. The other thing about this is that Israel did get the approval from Donald Trump before they went on this bombing rampage. So now you have multiple issues in the Middle East right now. You have Israel breaking the ceasefire and continuing the genocide. You now have this new war with Yemen. And the other part about this that we need to add as well was that Donald Trump is threatening Iran, which is a huge, huge mistake. This is not peace. This is an escalation of war. I was very, very concerned when Donald Trump went to Dearborn, Michigan, and he somehow was able to convince some of the residents there, some of the Arab American residents there, that he was going to establish peace in Gaza. Because if you follow the money doesn't show that. Getting money from Miriam Adelson, getting money from AIPAC says that you are going to do the bidding of Israel. And that is exactly what you see happening right now. We're going to go ahead and get started with this clip here from ABC News.
We have breaking news at this hour. The Israeli military says they are currently conducting extensive strikes in Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces and Israeli Securities Agency say they are targeting terror targets belonging to Hamas. The strikes throw into doubt the fragile ceasefire that is held for nearly 2 months. The attacks come after President Trump called a last warning to Hamas last week to release all the remaining hostages being held in Gaza. The president...
Of course, corporate media is still lying about this, so I have to do my due diligence here. Let me be very clear with you. First of all, Hamas did not break this ceasefire. Israel broke this ceasefire. This is after Israel decided to starve people in Gaza yet again. Don't forget that they made that declaration that they were going to stop goods from coming into Gaza yet again. So first they start to starve them. Then they contact Donald Trump. He says, yeah, go ahead and go with it. And then they start to bomb them again and continue the genocide. Corporate media, every corporate media outlet right now is blaming this on Hamas. It is very important that you guys pass this message of independent media on to your friends and your family members, because corporate media is lying yet again. Hamas agreed to the ceasefire. Israel was the one that decided, no, we change our mind. We don't want to do that anymore. There are still hostages in Gaza. Yes, correct. And Hamas warned that continuing the bombings also puts those hostages at risk. Israel does not care about the hostages. They want the Palestinian people gone. I hope everyone really understand that. Hamas did not break this ceasefire. This was Israel. So we have to debunk the narrative that is coming from corporate media. And I've seen it on every single corporate media website and outlet. They are blaming it on Hamas. The people who have been killed Over 400 civilians, over 170 children. They're not telling you that.
Said the U.S. was giving its full support to Israel to, quote, finish the job if the hostages were not freed. And just a short while ago, President Netanyahu said Israel will increase its use of force against Hamas going forward, accusing Hamas of repeatedly refusing to release the hostages and rejecting mediation offers. Here to discuss how this ceasefire agreement could fall apart and Israel's next steps is ABC News correspondent Matt Gutman, who joins us by phone right now. Matt, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just told the public why the ceasefire agreement broke down. Can you share that with us?
He basically said that Hamas, Stephanie, did not accept this Witkoff proposal. They've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. It seems that they got close at some point. It also seemed that the U.S. had been engaged in direct talks with Hamas for the first time separately from Israel. It's the first time that any U.S. administration had ever reached out and spoke directly to Hamas. Those apparently also broke down. And so at this point, the Israeli prime minister alerting the military, but also obviously the public, that the ceasefire has broken down. In fact, I spoke to a military official about 30 seconds before we got on air, who said that we've been in negotiations with Hamas. That wasn't working. The question now, Stephanie, is how extensive is this attack going to be? Is this just like a shot across the bow? Is this airstrikes that we're going to see tonight going into tomorrow? Or are we going to see tanks roll across the border into Gaza again, and at what strength? So
pause for a second. This is what Gaza looks like now. Okay. Gaza is destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Remember Israel's goal, Netanyahu, they made it very clear that they wanted to make Gaza uninhabitable. And that's exactly what they're doing. But we have to push back on this narrative from corporate media that Hamas they did not break the ceasefire. Israel signed the ceasefire agreement. Israel is the one who reneged on the agreement. And every corporate media outlet that I've seen so far, they're not talking about the children. They're not talking about all the civilians that were killed. It wasn't even 24 hours and they killed this many people. It is very clear what is happening here. Very clear.
I just got back from Israel on Saturday night, and multiple military sources there had been talking about another massive invasion of the Gaza Strip to rid Gaza of Hamas once and for all. And they said, instead of sort of the whack-a-mole that Israel had been playing with Hamas, where it would strike one area and then Hamas would pop up somewhere else, because Israel was engaged in multiple fronts at one time, fighting in Gaza, but also in Lebanon. This time they're going to focus all the forces inside Gaza at once and try to truly decimate the terrorist organization. However, obviously they've proven very elusive, and we've seen in these ceremonies that Hamas has come out in these crisp uniforms, AK-47s oiled up. They have new vehicles that appear unblemished from 18 months of war. So the question is, how extensive this is this, and how long does it last? At this point, we simply don't know. But this is certainly the biggest military operation that we've seen in 2 months in the Gaza Strip.
And Matt, those are
very, very sad.
certainly some really strong and solid questions. How extensive will these strikes be? We know that the IDF says they are conducting extensive strikes right now on Gaza as we speak. But what are their goals militarily speaking?
It sounds very easy to say, Stephanie, and we've heard this from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu so many times, right? It's to destroy Hamas. The question is, what does that look like? And the biggest question that Israelis are asking his public, what happens to the hostages? You fought this war to repatriate the hostages. You entered those negotiations to repatriate those hostages, but where are they? So,
no, they did not fight the war to get the hostages back. That was a convenient excuse, right? So corporate media, once again, misleading the people. They fought this war to get rid of the Palestinian people. Remember, after October 7th is not the first time that Israel has attacked Gaza or the West Bank. They have been doing this for years. for years. So he talks about what the damage will be. The damage was over 400 people killed, over 176 children. And it was actually Drop Site News. They were the first ones that I saw shared this on X last night. And I want to show you the confirmation that Donald Trump approved this before it happened. They're really saying the quiet part out loud. I can't make this up. Listen.
Well, the Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. And as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas, the Houthis, Iran, all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose.
Pause. This is misleading about this whole America First ideology, because when did Hamas attack the United States? Is everybody paying attention to what is happening here? Right? So what they are doing is that they are claiming that Israel is also America. So therefore, if you attack Israel, even though Israel has been attacking them for decades, if you attack Israel, you're therefore attacking America. Guys, do not fall. That is not America first. What Donald Trump has been doing is he has been making Israel first. Joe Biden also made Israel first. Now, I hope people can see this for what this really is, because it shows you what I told you back in 2024. Both parties support Israel. Both parties are Israel first, even if that means allowing Israel to kill children. Both administrations gave Israel the tools that they need to kill those damn kids. Both of them. And there are a number of people right now saying, well, oh no, well, Kamala Harris would have never allowed this to happen. Kamala Harris said she would never tell Israel that they couldn't have the weapons. She would never withhold weapons from Israel. Now, what kind of weapons? That can be debated. But the reality is both parties were not going to withhold weapons from Israel. Both parties are complicit in the genocide. And I want to say another thing here, because I've been paying attention. All of a sudden, some of the influencers who were so vocal about these attacks and the genocide under the Biden administration now all of a sudden are very quiet. You guys, if you're on X, you've probably seen it too. All of a sudden, they have nothing to say. Very, very quiet about what just happened over the past 24 hours. Why is that? That's the danger of partisan politics. And I called them all out. I don't give a damn. I called all of them out today. This is why I continue to tell people Donald Trump is not a peace president. He is not anti-war. All of a sudden, people forgot the things that he did in 2016. No, he didn't start new wars, but he didn't end any either. He killed Soleimani. Don't forget he was bombing Syria. Don't forget about Somalia. Don't forget about those things. That happened in the first presidency. And now we see this on a grander scale. You now have a genocide in Gaza. You have the Houthis in Yemen. We'll get to that as well, because they did respond to the attack from the United States. They have just now responded with a retaliatory attack. You have people being massacred in Syria. A lot of them Christians, by the way. And I know some of you are, a lot of them Christians being massacred in Syria. Again, all because of Israel. And now you have also Donald Trump trying to threaten Iran. This is an absolute disaster. This is that Miriam Adelson money at its finest. This is that AIPAC money at its finest. This is insane. Let's continue.
And all of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America and our friend and our ally, Israel. And we know that these successful defensive strikes that took place over the weekend against the Houthis in the Red Sea were indeed successful. We took out some of their leaders, and the Defense Department is set to continue with this campaign if the Houthis continue with their retaliatory measures. The president is going to stand for the navigation, freedom of navigation of our seas, which is a very basic principle that unfortunately the previous administration refused to stand for, and that's why we are in this mess in the Middle East in the first place. President Trump inherited a lot of problems, Sean, because of the incompetence and the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration, but he is focused on fixing them, and our allies and our adversaries better take him seriously.
So, number one, no, this mess did not begin because of the Houthis. This mess began because of Israel. Now, if you want to see more information, Al Jazeera is one to follow. Israel says attacks on Gaza that killed hundreds, only the beginning. Only the beginning. I told you they want the land. So everybody see this? Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Tuesday air attacks that killed hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza are only the beginning, and Israel will press ahead until it realizes all its war goals, destroying Hamas and freeing all captives held by the group. At least 404 people, including many children, have been killed in the renewed Israeli attacks that ended a fragile 2-month ceasefire in Gaza. The health ministry's toll is expected to rise as many victims remain under the rubble. And I saw the attack videos on social media. Israel was bombing the shit out of Gaza. Again. So that 400 number is going to increase because, again, there are many people that are under the rubble. Benjamin Netanyahu is telling you this is only just the beginning. So when they make this statement, I want to explain to you what they're really saying. When they make this statement that they're going to continue doing this until all of Hamas is gone, that means they're going to kill everybody. Because remember, with the Likud party, they see all of them as Hamas. They even see the babies as Hamas. So that's what this means. They're going to continue to try to kill everybody, and then they're going to take the land. This right here, and I got to tell you, I was very surprised to see Marjorie Taylor Greene actually speaking out about this. Even she is speaking out. Now, she doesn't take money from AIPAC, but even she is like, no. This is not what we asked for. America does not want these wars. Even she's speaking out about it. If you ask me, this is very, very bad for Donald Trump. Very, very bad. Oh, and by the way, this whole peace with Ukraine, I want to let you guys know they already admitted at the State Department that they're giving Ukraine weapons again. So that's BS too. What's done in the dark comes to light. I believe in the beginning, this initial ceasefire from Donald Trump was about optics. He wanted to look good, right? Especially going into his inauguration. He wanted to look good and say, look what we were able to accomplish. But now it's back to business as usual and giving Israel what they want. I have to tell you guys, I think this is absolutely incredibly dangerous for Jewish people. I really, really, really do. What is happening right now, what Israel is doing, and the U.S. participation in this, I would argue, does not make things better for Jewish people in this country. It doesn't. My argument is that it makes things worse. Israel will never be able to get that the reputation that Israel had. They will never be able to have that reputation again. Never, 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 never. And that's why they're trying to silence the voices. This is why they're trying to basically make it so that you feel afraid to go protest against the state of Israel. Why you guys think they're trying to silence people? This is why. because they realize the anger is that bad. And even Piers Morgan, this is interesting. He commented on this. At that time, it was 330 people that were reported. If these numbers are even close to being accurate, this is horrifying development, and there is no justification for such mass slaughter. So to that, Piers Morgan, I say, but do you condemn Israel? As many times as you sat there on your show and asked all these guests, do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Israel, Piers Morgan? Do you condemn Israel for March 17th? Everybody noticed that Israel did this on St. Patrick's Day? Symbolic? Do you condemn them? Do you condemn Israel, Piers Morgan? Or did your buddy Rupert Murdoch tell you not to say anything? Can you crawl out from underneath the shadows of Rupert Murdoch and your Zionist friends and say that you condemn the state of Israel? Can you do that, Piers Morgan? This little girl lost all of her hair. She's losing her hair because of the stress in Gaza. Listen to this.
كان شعري حلو وطويل وما أحلاه كنت قمشته عكسين وكنت لما أروح على المدرسة.
She said she loved brushing her hair every day.
قمشته عكسين قمشته كثير قمشتها حلوات لما كنت قمشته والأولى على مدرستي أنا كمان.
Yeah, if you're just joining, this little girl lost her hair not because she has alopecia, not because she has cancer. She lost all of her hair from stress, from the stress in Gaza. Do people not notice, like, a lot of us don't know what it's like to lay down to go to sleep at night and being afraid to close your eyes because you don't know when a bomb's going to hit. We have to think about the many ways that we are somewhat sheltered in this country, the many ways, the things that we do not have to think about, we don't have to deal with on an everyday basis. These are children. And unlike some others, I feel for all kids. I don't care what race they are. I feel for all children. And there is no way in hell the number of people that I know that grew up in the church are now trying to justify what is happening to these damn kids, knowing it's not right. Well, the Bible says, no, it does not. The Bible does not say that European settlers are owed the land in the Middle East. It does not say that. Now, you can try to argue this point with other people or other people that you deem to be on the left that say that they're atheists or agnostic or never grew up in the church. But I grew up in the church, so you can't argue that with me. Little girl loses her hair.
فاتوا علينا فجأة اليهود في الليل، احنا كنا نايمين، فاتوا علينا فجأة اليهود في الليل وكانوا رموا صوت طخ وصوت قذائف.
كانت كثير رعب، يعني القصف جنبك وصدايع خنتنا.
She was terrified by the sight of dead bodies and the debris around her and the constant fear. Can you imagine being a child and having to see this every day? Can you imagine waking up every day and seeing dead bodies around you every day? I can imagine dealing with that as an adult, but imagine a child. And for the kids who managed to live through this, like, that's some type of trauma. That's a next level trauma shit. Next level trauma. I don't know how you get past that.
موت قدامك وسقفات، أي طفل أي إنسان يعني هلع وخوف وفزع. طفلة 8 سنين، يعني إيش بدي يصير فيها؟ فيش استقرار، فيش هدوء، فيش أمان. فكان السبب هذا الأساسي، الخوف والقصف العشوائي هو سبب نزول.
The main cause of her hair loss. That's just one of the videos. There's a number of things that you can see that these kids are having to deal with. And I want to warn you about something else too, because if you think that this stops with Gaza, it doesn't. Did you know that Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to dump the Palestinians off in countries in Africa? Did you know that Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to get countries in Africa to take the Palestinian people? He was trying to displace them, send them over to Africa. Now, why is that problematic? And for anyone from Africa, you need to pay attention to this too, because they trying to come and get your stuff too, okay? Because the Likud party is also trying to make their presence over in Africa. This is what I told you, that this was going to spread.
We think that Israel now is the best partner that the countries of Africa could have, and it's something that is dear to our hearts. The founder of modern Zionism, the national movement of the Jewish people, was Theodor Herzl, and he said, after I liberate the Jewish people, I will go to Africa to help liberate the black people.
That means colonization. You see, they describe it and try to frame it as liberating, but it's actually colonialism. That means they want to come there, and their idea of liberating you is kicking you out and taking over your land too. It's a trick. We're going to come and liberate you. We're going to come and help you and free you and save you from yourselves.
We have our African brethren, the Ethiopian Jews, who are in our society, and I personally work every few weeks to help integrate more and more and incorporate them in our society. I believe this. I believe in Africa. I believe in your future, and I believe in our partnership for this future. We think that Israel now is the...
It's a trick. It's a trick. It's one of the oldest tricks of colonialism. We are going to come there and we are going to save you from yourself, and we're going to liberate you guys. Oldest trick in the book. It's supremacy at its finest. And to add on to all of this, Donald Trump is now threatening Iran. Iran with powerful nuclear capabilities, not a country you really want to threaten, definitely not a country that you want to piss off. But Donald Trump has gone there. And I told you, I warned you a couple of days ago, this is really about trying to get the U.S. to start war with Iran. That's what Israel wants. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu wants. They want them gone. They want them out of the way so that they can continue their greater Israel project. I said Trump has threatened Iran that a Houthi attack, it will be seen as an attack from Iran. Listen to this. Let nobody be fooled. This is from him. The hundreds of attacks being made by Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen who are hated by the Yemeni people, all emanate from and are created by Iran. So do you see what he's doing here? He's trying to say they're all framing them all that way. He's putting all the blame on Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force. And there is no guarantee that the force will stop there. Pause there for a second. First of all, who attacked who first? The U.S. attacked the Houthis. Remember I did the story where they attacked Yemen? The U.S. did the attack. But now he's saying that they cannot respond. So they already have. We'll talk about that in just a second. But he's putting all the blame on Iran. It goes on to say here that any further attack or retaliations by the Houthis will be met with great force, and there is no guarantee that the force will stop there. Iran has played the innocent victim of rogue terrorists from which they've lost control, but they haven't lost control. They're dictating every move, giving them weapons, supplying them with money, and highly sophisticated military equipment, and even so-called intelligence. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from weapons and leadership of Iran. And Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences. And those consequences will be dire. that is from Donald Trump, President of the United States. I want to be very clear about this. First of all, we can't beat Iran. You already still have the Ukraine war, which has not been settled. You still have the Ukraine war. Russia not too happy with us, obviously. So there's that. Now you're trying to start something with Iran, all to please Israel. Even if you're not anti-war, you should be 100% against this. You guys, like, this is not a game. If we have any type of nuclear war, none of this is going to matter. We will not be alive because that type of energy would come back our way. Well, I want to remind you, a lot of these billionaires have bunkers. We don't. So we will not be safe. And this is exactly where they're going. Exactly where they're going. They wanted to start a war with Iran. Now I'm going to show you this. The Houthis have already responded. So, of course, Donald Trump is going to see this as an attack from Iran. But remember who attacked who first.
تمكنت القوات المسلحة اليمنية خلال الساعات الماضية من استهداف حاملة الطائرات الأمريكية.
He said over the past few hours, the Yemeni armed forces have successfully targeted the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman. This is the military spokesperson of the Houthis.
USS هاري ترومان شمالي البحر الأحمر وذلك بصاروخين مجنحين وطائرتين مسيرتين واستهداف مدمرة أمريكية بصاروخ مجنح وأربع طائرات مسيرة ويعد الاستهداف لحاملة الطائرات هو الثالث خلال 48 ساعة الماضية.
He said the targeting of the aircraft carrier is the third in the past 48 hours. They're not playing around.
وقد أصيب العدو بحالة من الإرباك مما دفع بالعديد من قطاعه الحربية إلى التراجع باتجاه منطقة شمال البحر الأحمر وتم إفشال هجوم جوي كان يحضر له ضد بلدنا يتحمل المعتدي الأمريكي كافة التداعيات جراء عسكرة البحر الأحمر.
He said the U.S. aggressor bears all the consequences of militarizing the Red Sea and expanding the scope of confrontation. Now, let's talk for a minute why they're there. Why are they there? They're there because of the siege on Gaza. They're there because of the starvation in Gaza. They made it very clear, get your hands off of Gaza, stop starving the people, we will go away. That's why they're there. So this is absolutely insane. Like, these people are not playing around. This is not a joke. And according to Trump's statement, any attack from the Houthis is seen as an attack from Iran. I told you guys even a year ago, they're trying to go to war with Iran. They want Iran out of the way. They see them as problematic. Obviously, for the Greater Israel Project, Iran is problematic for that. They see them as problematic for commerce, but more importantly, they see them as problematic for U.S. interest because they want Israel to have more control. They want Israel to have, and all these people telling you, oh, we want the Palestinian people to have a state. No, they don't. They want Israel to control that whole area because they believe that will be better for U.S. interest because of the resources, the oil, the gas that is in the area. And this brings up a question for Saudi Arabia, because where is Saudi Arabia going to fit in the middle of all this? Don't forget, Saudi Arabia also was attacking Yemen. They were able to do so by the arms that was given to them from the U.S. government. Saudi Arabia is also a part of BRICS. So where is Saudi Arabia going to land in the middle of all this? Because they have 1 foot on the side of the West, 1 foot on the side of BRICS. What are they going to do? Not a game. This is not a freaking game. I could play the whole thing, but I think you guys get the gist of what he's saying there about what happened. These are very, very dangerous times. And what I would call upon is this: for the people in Dearborn that did vote for Donald Trump, the ones that he sat down with and he met in person and he said he would bring peace, which I told you I did not believe that. You guys have every right to contact the president now and to say, what the hell? Because that was a promise he made to you in person, to your face. And people need to wake up. People need to open their eyes. They need to see exactly what is really going on here. Israel is a problem, and it is continuing to escalate. Now, people ask me, well, do you believe the bombing would still happen under Kamala? Yeah, because Kamala Harris said that she would not say no to Israel when it came to the weapons. So if Israel asked for weapons, she was going to give them weapons. Now, there may have been limits on what kind of weapons, but she still was going to give them the weapons. And if you give them the weapons, they're still going to kill people. Israel doesn't even need the permission of the president to do what they're doing. They haven't always asked for the permission of the president. They just do it. And do I believe that Kamala Harris, who couldn't say no to Joe Biden when he told her not to have any daylight between them, do I believe that she would have stood up to Netanyahu and say, no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that? No, I don't. If you couldn't stand up to Biden, who was right there with you, why do I believe you're going to stand up to Benjamin Netanyahu? No, they would still be bombing these people. And that's why some people like me voted for Jill. Because we know both of these parties are bought. That AIPAC has both of them. These are dangerous times. These are scary times. And for the people who are cheering this on, you do not want to be cheering this on. Always remember that the crimes of the empire come back home. The crimes of the empire come back home. Not something to cheer about. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.